Hey guys, what's up? Darklaw here, and today I'm going to be showing you my Wii collection. I don't have too many games for this system, so this should not be too long of a video, but I will give my thoughts on each game I've got, unless I haven't played it, and then I'll just say I haven't played it. Move on to the next game, so let's get started. So I'll start with the ones that are in these little slip cases first, along with a loose game I have, and then the rest of them are in cases. So the first game I have is Monster Trucks Mayhem. Never played it. Wii Sports. Of course, I have this because it came with the console. I'm not really into sports games very much, but this one actually is kind of fun. I still enjoy bowling, boxing, and baseball. Not so big on the golf and tennis ones because golf is really frustrating to. Golf is just really frustrating to control for me. And tennis is just too boring in my opinion. The other three, though, I actually had a lot of fun with. But, yeah. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Pretty fun game. It does kind of go off the same formula as the DS one, but it's a consoleized version of it, and it plays just fine. I actually played this with my sister quite a bit. We called it Super Wilhelm Scream Brothers because anytime we died in the game, we always did the Wilhelm Scream, and it was funny as hell. It's a pretty fun game. And the loose disc I have is Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3. I used to have the actual case for this along with a manual, but I don't anymore. I lost those a long time ago at my cousin's house. But I played the hell out of this game. And surprisingly enough, this copy still works. I've had it since 2008. I got this on my 13th birthday, along with Broly Legendary Super Saiyan. And I couldn't play this game at first because we were having TV troubles. I lost the remote to the old TV. Couldn't do it. Couldn't get anything. Couldn't really find it. So we had to get a universal remote to replace it. And at first it took a while because we had a hard time trying to reprogram the remote just to get it to work. But eventually we did, and we actually managed to be able to change the source, the input. And full disclosure, the TV we had did not have a setting on the buttons on the TV itself. It was not like that, sadly. But we did eventually get it to working, and when I started playing this, I played the hell out of it. I could not stop playing. It took me like a full year to get most of the characters unlocked. I did get almost everything unlocked, but unfortunately, my previous Wii suffered a connection issue. Like, it still turns on and everything, but I can't connect my controllers to it anymore, which is really frustrating. I've tried everything. I've tried replacing the batteries. I've tried using different Wii remotes and controllers. Nothing worked. It was disconnected permanently, and it was really sad because I had that Wii for a little while, and I loved it, and it was the best Wii I had so far. And it was a working Wii. It was just fine. The games were working for it. But the controllers but the controllers just wouldn't work with it anymore. And it wasn't even my controllers either. It's just the system seriously would not connect to my controllers. It's just unplayable now, and it's really unfortunate because all my data is on that one, and that also means my Dragon Ball Z data, which, as I said, I got most of the characters unlocked. Well, I got all the characters unlocked, and I got most of the stages unlocked. And I even beat the story mode. But this game is really good. Probably one of the best Dragon Ball Z games I've ever played. And probably the last really good one for a while until Fighters came out in 2018, which turned out to be pretty damn good. But this game is a lot of fun to play. It doesn't really matter if you have the Wii version or the PS2 version. You can't go wrong either way. They're both good versions. But be forewarned, it is getting expensive. More so on the PS2 than the Wii, but it is still getting up there. Epic Mickey. I played a little bit of this. I didn't really play too much. Um, I do remember being kind of fun, but that was really it. That's all I remember from it. Monster Hunter Tri. I used to be really into Monster Hunter years ago when I was younger, but then Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came out and I just kind of stopped playing because I was just way too burnt out on it. I got so overwhelmed by a lot of this what the series had to offer, and it didn't really tell you hardly anything, or when it did tell you what to do, it was really half-assed, and I found it really frustrating. Not only that, I found the combat to be really heavy and hard to utilize, and I could do it at first, but then I got older and I just couldn't utilize it anymore. So I dropped out of Monster Hunter for a long time until I played Monster Hunter World on PS4, and I realized it was great. Like, Monster Hunter World was a really good game. It brought me back into Monster Hunter, and because of this, I like it again. I can definitely get into it now. Although, although I probably will not, although I probably still won't enjoy the others as much because, well, World basically was the definitive experience for me. It was more streamlined. It was a lot less clunky and it was less overwhelming on me, so I was able to get used to it more easily. But it's not like these games are bad. They're good games. Just I got frustrated with them. So yeah, this is a good game. This is definitely better than the PS2 game, but not my favorite one. Like I said, World is the definitive experience for me. It's just my favorite Monster Hunter. I love that game. But still, Monster Hunter Tri is a good game. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. I actually really like the darker take on the Zelda series. Thought it was pretty cool that we see it in a slightly more intensive tone as opposed to what we had seen in Wind Waker or even in Ocarina of Time or Majora's Mask. I mean, not that these games didn't have dark shit in them as well, but this one really pushed forward with a teen rating, which was definitely surprising, but not unwelcome. Um, this is basically the same as the GameCube version, just with forced motion controls, but they're not like awful or anything. And it is mirrored, which is weird, but not the worst change they could have done to it. It wasn't terrible. But the game overall is really good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Not my favorite Zelda. That will have to go to Breath of the Wild for me, but Twilight Princess, it's pretty good. Super Mario Galaxy. I actually didn't play this one too much. I liked it, but I didn't love it as much as Mario Sunshine or Mario World. Um, I just didn't have as much incentive to play this one. I used to really want to play this game a lot when I was younger, but I didn't get this game until much later. And by the time we got it, I just wasn't really all that inclined to play it. But I got the Mario 3D All-Stars on Switch, so I'm definitely more excited to play it now than I was before, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully I'll actually sit down and play through the whole thing. SpongeBob SquarePants Creature from the Krusty Krab. I was a really big SpongeBob fan back in the day. I used to love the series so damn much. I watched the first 5 seasons all the time. I started watching the series with pizza delivery when I was like 4 years old, and it was like somewhere around late 1999 or early 2000 when I first started watching it. So I've been with the series for a long time now, although I've kind of fallen off of it since season 7 because I felt that season 6 was not so good. A lot of the episodes were they just did not capture the same magic as the previous ones, and the quality of them severely declined, and season 7 was my complete breaking point. I really didn't like that one. Season 6 and season 7 were just some of the worst it had to offer, in my opinion. But the older seasons, I absolutely loved. So what do I think of this game? Well, I think it's a pretty good game. It's a fun little action platformer where you play as SpongeBob, Patrick, and Plankton, and they all play pretty decently. Plankton's levels are kind of my least favorite, mostly just because his gameplay styles, they do try to shake it up, but they're not really all that intuitive. But SpongeBob and Patrick styles I actually liked a lot. Even the flying stages were actually kind of fun. It felt like I felt like I was using a joystick, which was pretty sweet. Um, but the overall experience is pretty good. It's not the best licensed game, but not a bad one by any means. It's good. It's good for what it is. Wii Fit. My family and I played the hell out of this game. We loved it, but I don't have the balance board anymore, so I can't play it anymore. But not really all that inclined to play this anymore, honestly. I prefer working out at a real gym now. I just prefer doing that. Spider-Man Web of Shadows. This was a pretty good game from what I remember, but I haven't played this game in so long, so I don't really know what to say about it now. But I do remember enjoying it. I thought it was a pretty good Spider-Man game with beat 'em up mechanics that kind of remind me of God of War, sort of, but instead of using swords and shit, you'd use your fists and webs. I enjoyed it, but it's been a while since I've played it, so I don't know what to think of it now. Manhunt 2. I haven't really played too much of this, but I enjoyed the first Manhunt, even though it was pretty fucked up. But I have not gotten around to playing this very much yet. I will soon. I just need to motivate myself to. Red Steel. I actually picked this one up very recently, last week in fact. This was a launch game for the Wii, and I had already heard about it, but I never got the chance to play it at all until very recently when I had bought this. And it's good. Not great, but it's good. I like it. I actually really like the gunplay. It was a lot of fun just using the Wii remote, shooting all these enemies down, and the presentation's pretty nice. I do like the art style they went for here, and the voice acting is surprisingly not awful. I've expected worse out of the voice acting here, but it was not terrible. My biggest problem with the game is the swordplay. It is very weird, very awkward, clunky. It's not very intuitive. It feels weird. It's like half the time you're trying to slash an enemy, it feels so unnatural. Like it takes a second when you try to flick the Wii remote, and yeah. I've heard the second one was way better, though, with much better swordplay controls. The swordplay here is kind of flimsy, but the gunplay, though, it was a lot of fun. And there is a lot more gunplay than swordplay, and I think it was kind of better that way here, because the swordplay is not really that great. But the gunplay, I loved it. I had a lot of fun playing with it, especially when you get to pick up an Uzi. That was a lot of fun. I will admit, I didn't really like the camera navigation at first, but I got used to it after a little while. It took me a bit, but it wasn't something I couldn't manage. A lot of other people have issues with it, and I totally understand that, but I actually didn't have too much problems after I figured it out. But yeah, it's a good game. I definitely recommend it. It's pretty cheap, so it's definitely worth a purchase, but be forewarned of the swordplay, it is kind of a mess. Sonic and the Secret Rings. I loved this game when I played it back then, but playing this now, holy shit, this game has not aged very well. The controls are just horrible. When you start off, it starts off very broken and you can't really do much. You're only using the Wii remote from the side, and it's not really an intuitive method. It doesn't play like a good Sonic game would. It just feels really weird and awkward. And not only that, half the time your controls don't respond, and it's very frustrating. Later on in the game, the controls do get better, but they should have been good from the beginning. That's the problem. The House of the Dead 2 and 3 return, which these are arcade ports onto the Wii. And this is a great game, a great set of games here. Of course, as it says, it contains House of the Dead 2 and 3. Sadly, it doesn't include the first game, which is unfortunate because it could have fit right in. But I'm at least glad they put 2 and 3 in there because they are really good games. And it was really nice to play these games again, especially since I played any chance I got to see House of the Dead 2 in an arcade or somewhere. I would always play it no matter what the cost. I love the hell out of that game. It was so much fun. And I'm really glad I actually get to play this in my own home. And the best part is, this is a great port. Like, you can use the zapper if you want, or you can just use the Wii remote and nunchuck. But I prefer using the zapper, because even though the zapper is technically a piece of plastic at this point, at the very least, it does make it feel like you're carrying a real gun, and I thought that was kind of cool. And the controls are actually very responsive. All you just gotta do is make sure your Wii remote's within range of the sensor bar so that your crosshair appears, and just blast away. And it's a lot of fun. The shooting mechanics are very responsive, and you don't even have to worry about playing this on a CRT or an HD TV either. Both will work because you don't have to worry about light detection. You can just use the sensor bar, and it actually works quite well. So yeah, I highly recommend checking this out. It's not too expensive. It's like going for maybe like a little under $30, but please get it when you can, because if you can, because these are great ports and they play very well. So if you can, get them. Definitely worth checking out. Resident Evil 4 Wii Edition. I also have this on PS4 as well. I'm actually kind of planning to get all versions of this. Most of them, anyways. Well, at least the ones that matter. So I have this in the PS4 version already, and why do I want to get all versions of this? Because I absolutely love this game. This is my favorite Resident Evil game, and I know that's a very common statement people make, but I love this game, I really do. I've had a lot of fun with it compared to other games in the series. I mean, nothing wrong with the first 3 games, they're great as well, but 4 was my most favorite out of all the Resident Evil games. I had the most fun with it, I played the shit out of it, I loved the characters, the villains were actually surprisingly pretty entertaining. It bridges the gap between horror and action, and I think it mixes it quite well. The inventory management is great. It's a very smart game. It's a lot of fun. And the Wii version is pretty good too, but I wouldn't really... Some say it's the best version, but I disagree. I don't think it's a bad version. It is a very good version for sure. But I prefer playing this on the PS4 because of the controls. I prefer the PS4 controller on the next gen version, or technically last gen now, because now we have the PS5 and Xbox Series X. But my point is, I prefer playing the PS4 version because of the controller. It's just more comfy to me, and it just feels better to play. But that's not to say the controls for this are bad. They're far from bad. They're really good on the Wii, but it's not my preferred method of play. However, it is still a good port. Very much recommended. It's not too expensive either. It's going for like $8, I believe. So definitely get it when you can. If you can. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. I didn't like the movie. The Michael Bay Transformers movies, at least the first 3, I never saw the other 2. They were a mixed bag, to say the least. The first one was okay. The second one, I didn't care for it at all. I thought it was just really boring, and the game is not much better either. I liked Dark of the Moon the most. I know a lot of people hate that one, but I actually enjoyed that one. It was mindless action most of the time, but if you just shut your brain off, it could be a fun watch. But yeah, Revenge of the Fallen, this game is not very good. I liked the first game, the first Transformers game based off the Michael Bay films. That was actually pretty fun, but this one just felt like a huge drop in quality. It's just as bad as the movie, in my opinion. It's not very fun. Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2. A lot of people don't really seem to like this game, but I actually had some fun with it. I thought it was pretty good. Although it has been a while since I've played this, and I know this version is very different from the PS3 and Xbox 360 versions, so yeah, I'll have to see where that goes. Men in Black Alien Crisis. I love the movies, well, except for the latest one, International. That was kind of boring. But I love the original first three movies. They were really fun to watch. Great blockbusters. This game, honestly, I didn't hate it. A lot of people don't really seem to like this game at all, and I can understand that because the controls do feel kind of awkward and clunky when you first start it. But when you get used to it, it actually can be really fun. Although I will admit, some of the enemies are like friggin' bullet sponges. They're a pain in the ass to kill at times, but hey, still enjoyed this one. I had fun with it. Even if it did feel a bit awkward at first crack. Remington Super Slam Hunting North America. You may think this might be a terrible game because of the way it looks and the fact that it's a licensed game for the arms company. And you wouldn't be totally wrong, but surprisingly enough, this game is actually pretty fun. I initially thought this game was just okay when I first played that, but then I replayed it for the first time about a month ago, and to my surprise, I was actually enjoying myself. This game is actually pretty fun. It's not a great game, but it's fun. It is just a simple hunting arcade game, and it actually controls very well. The heads-up display is pretty bare bones. I mean, it's definitely got that budget feel to it, but for a game that is usually meant for a casual audience and is like pretty cheaply produced, it's actually pretty fun. I would definitely recommend checking this out if you can. Guitar Hero Aerosmith. I used to play the hell out of this game. I played Guitar Hero so much when I was younger, and I absolutely loved it. I was a huge Guitar Hero fan. I still love Guitar Hero today, but I'm not quite as good as I used to be, although I'm still not terrible at it. I still have the hand-eye coordination at least. But Guitar Hero Aerosmith was a lot of fun. It got me into Aerosmith's music. I loved their song I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, even though I know a lot of people hate it. But this one really brought me into their music full swing. I mean, with songs like Sweet Emotion, Dream On, Walk This Way, Love in an Elevator, Living on the Edge. How could you go wrong? And this game, because of it, actually made me a fan of their music, and I still listen to them today. I listened to Love in an Elevator the other day, and I still love that song. It also has some other artists, too, like The Cult, Lenny Kravitz, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, stuff like that. It's good stuff. Maybe not the strongest Guitar Hero soundtrack, but I still enjoyed it. Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I also have this on PS2, but honestly, the PS2 version is better. The Wii version isn't not necessarily terrible, but it has a few problems. The Wii remote controls, yeah, I would not recommend playing this game with a Wii remote if you get this version, because the Wii remote controls here are very frustrating to work with. They're clunky. They can be very unresponsive. Like, it makes this, like, you're supposed to be swinging the Wii remote around in different ways to use special moves, like it says here, but most of the time when you try to utilize these special moves, they're so unresponsive half the time, and it makes gameplay a lot more frustrating. Basically, it feels like you're not doing jack shit when you use the Wii remote. If you use the GameCube or classic controllers, though, it's just fine. It plays like how you'd expect. It's not bad on the Wii, just not good with the motion controls. Just use a classic controller or GameCube controller if you really want to get the Wii version. But the entire game as a whole, though, I think it's pretty okay. It is nowhere near as good as I remember it. Like, I thought this was the best MK game for a long time until MK9 came in and took that place. But looking back on it now, it's definitely got some problems. Like, there's a lot of copy paste shit throughout the game. Like, like a lot of the moves feel pretty much the same. It's kind of unfortunate. The creative fatality system is pretty lackluster because the moves are basically all the same, and it doesn't take long before you wear that out quickly. And yeah, there's quite a few issues with the game itself, but as a whole, I do enjoy Armageddon, and even if it isn't the best one to play, it does make for some fun multiplayer action for sure. And I really did enjoy motor combat. That was actually pretty fun. And Conquest mode is actually a lot better this time. I liked it there. But NK Armageddon is a decent game, in my opinion, but definitely not the best one for sure. Wally. I've heard a lot of people say this game was good, but I haven't really played much of it, so I can't say myself. And last one I have is Resident Evil The Umbrella Chronicles, which is a light gun shooter which is a Resident Evil light gun shooter. And it's actually pretty fun. I wasn't expecting it to be any good, but it is. It actually is really good. It is a little slow compared to other light gun games. It can feel a bit clunky at times, or not clunky, but it can feel a little heavy at times. But once you get used to it, it is a ton of fun, and I really enjoyed myself with it. It actually takes place during the events of Resident Evil 0, and I think around the first one. I don't remember, but I know it does take place in Resident Evil 0, just a bit more abridged, but this is a pretty fun game. I enjoyed it. So that's my Wii collection. Not a whole lot, but a fair amount of games, and definitely some really good ones here. Some not so good, but definitely some good ones. Anyways, that is my collection, and I will see you guys in the next collection video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.